From Westminster, this is the Standard Podcast, and I'm Mark Blunden. Rishi Sunak's controversial Rwanda Bill was today brought into stark focus following the deaths of at least 5 migrants, including a child, who were packed into a boat of more than 100 people trying to cross the English Channel. Police and the French coastguard said the fatalities included 3 men, a woman and a child. The Channel tragedy occurred as migrants tried to reach the UK from an area of the French coast near the town of Wimereux. It comes after late-night votes in Parliament as Sunak finally saw his controversial Rwanda Bill sending illegal migrants to Africa come to fruition.
The ayes to the right, 312. The noes to the left, 237. So the ayes have it, the ayes have it.
Ahead of the vote, the PM said the first planes would take off within 10 to 12 weeks, but how many people will be on board?
I know there'll be lots of interest in the exact operational detail of what we're about to embark on. And I've tried very hard in my statement to give everyone a sense of the preparation work that's gone into this, and as much as I am able to say about the future, and that's for a very good reason. It's clear that there is a loud minority of people who will do absolutely anything and everything to disrupt this policy from succeeding.
It's been suggested the £370 million deportation deal with the Rwandan government could end up costing £1.8 million for every one of the first 300 people flown out of the UK. Following the bill's passing, Home Secretary James Cleverly today described the government's deportation plan passing through Parliament as a landmark moment in our plan to stop the boats. Yesterday, the Lords was engaged in an extended back and forth over the Safety of Rwanda, Asylum and Immigration Bill, sending it back to the Commons 5 times in a bid to secure changes. It's been a long, expensive and time-consuming political road for Sunak to get to this point, but there's still plenty of legal obstacles to go. So what's next? How will it work? And how does the government justify its arguments? Now I'm inside Parliament in the House of Commons, and I'm joined by the Evening Standard's political editor Nicholas Cecil. Nick, first, Tuesday's awful tragedy in the Channel. What can you tell us, and what do we know about the circumstances?
Well, when people woke up this morning, there was very much a strong focus on Parliament and the controversial Rwanda Bill, which cleared Parliament late last night. But then very tragic reports started emerging from France about an incident late last night in which 5 migrants, including a young girl very tragically, died after their boat got into trouble off the Pas-de-Calais area.
Of course, it's a stark reminder of the human toll of migrants trying in desperate circumstances to reach the UK.
Yes, and very much so. And so kind of when things like this happen, kind of the politics very quickly disappears into the background. Both the Conservatives and Labour, though, will look at this and think it makes the case for what they are suggesting. So the government will be advocating that you need very, very tough measures, a strong deterrent to stop these crossings happening in the first place. There are reports that there were as many as 10 attempted crossings so far today, and dozens of people, migrants, asylum seekers and some economic migrants, already being brought ashore at Dover. So Rishi Sunak is saying that this tragedy again shows why we need this very strong deterrent about deporting people to Rwanda. Labour, on the other hand, are saying the government has failed on this issue and that they think the government's Rwanda plan is largely a expensive gimmick and that it won't solve the problem. They're saying there needs to be far more cooperation and far more targeting of the criminal gangs behind all this very evil trade, people trafficking, people risking their lives in desperate measures to get to Britain.
What was the significance of last night's vote for Rishi Sunak? Now he's finally got it through with what seems like a real fair bit of bad faith arguing.
He's got his bill through now. It will get royal assent possibly later this week. But this is by no means the end of the argument over this bill. A number of peers, including Conservative peers, think it is possibly unlawful and it will face challenges in the courts. And one prominent peer, Lord Anderson, who's a former reviewer of terrorism legislation, so a significant figure, he's described the legislation as post-truth, basically, because this Rwanda Bill declares the Central African country as safe, a safe place for Britain to send its asylum seekers to. And this is exactly what the Supreme Court ruled wasn't to be the case, because Britain's most senior judges took the view that while Rwanda itself might be a safe country, country, there is a risk or potential risk that some asylum seekers who wanted refuge in Britain, who are then sent to Rwanda, could then be deported back to the very country from where they had fled, even if they would be at risk of possibly torture or even death.
Let's go to the ads. Coming up, what will happen to the PM's flagship Rwanda Bill if Labour wins government? Why not hit follow in the meantime? Give us a rating.